Okay, hopefully this thing is on. So, as you can see by today's video, I am going to be ranking every episode of Death Battle from seasons 1 to season 10. Now, if you want this, I'll link this in the description below so you can do it yourself. Okay, the original Boba Fett versus Samus. It's alright. It's outdated, but it's alright. Same with this Akuma versus Shao Kahn. No, fuck. What's his fucking name? It's on the fucking tip of my tongue. It's not Ermac, it's Shang Tsung, yes. Yeah, overall, it's just an episode in my opinion. Wonder Woman versus Rogue. It's like a 4. It's completely wrong in the result. I don't know how the fuck Rogue won, if I'm being honest. But, you know, it's just Rogue One was pretty cool, though, even though it's wrong. Goomba versus Koopa. Same thing. Just kind of, I completely forgot their names. But it's actually pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Battle Royale. It's cool. It's a cool episode. Ralph versus, it's not Zitch. I don't know, I'm just gonna put it at 6. And no, these are in no particular order, so like none of them like, oh, this one's here, so it's better than, no. I'm not gonna do it, I'm just gonna put them right here, and I can move on. Yoshi versus Riptor. It's alright, it's a fun episode. It's Dark Stalkers versus Blaze Blue is all I know. It's like Felicia versus somebody. And it's overall pretty good. Spawn versus Kratos 7, great fight, great. It's just so cool. It's a really cool fight. If this was in 3D, this would easily be like an 8 or 9. But you know, sadly it's not. Dig Dug versus Bomberman. I've just never really cared for the matchup. I've never really cared for the episode. Vegeta versus Shadow. Like a 6. It's alright. The result's wrong, since apparently this is supposed to be like Archie Sonic that already in. But you know, at that time Death Battle was new and finding their footing, so I'm not gonna rip into them too much for this research. Mario versus Sonic 1. It's cool to see their abilities bounce off each other, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and give it a 6 tier. Hannah Montana versus Justin Bieber. Like a 4. It's a joke matchup, but that's really all it. It's just, in my opinion, not really that good. Harry Potter versus is a 7. Great episode. Forgot who these two were, but I think it's Street Fighter and some other matchup. I think it's Tekken. I don't really fucking know. I'll say 5 when I remember. It's pretty good. Okay, same thing with this one. It's cool, but it's just kind of like a goof matchup. Okay, Doomslayer versus Master Chief. I'll give it like a 7. Again, if this was in 3D, like Spawn versus Kratos would have been, this would easily be like an 8 or 9 type of thing, but besides that, it's just kind of good. It's like a solid episode. Dr. Robotnik. This episode is, I'll say a 3. Only because I fucking hate the fact that this ended in a draw, and in my opinion, their conclusion was really bad on the fight, so I'll heavily knock it for that. Princess Peach versus Zelda. I've never really fucking given a shit for this episode in general, so I'll have it here. Raiden versus Thor 8. This episode is a fucking shit stomp, but my god, it is so entertaining. Raiden gets in a lot of solid hits, and Thor just gets like one hit in and he fucking annihilates this fraud. But overall, it's just like a fun, enjoyable episode. Like if you watch it, you're just gonna have fun. Link versus Cloud 1. I'll say 5. It's not because it's bad, it's just because I've never given a shit for this matchup or either character. So there's that. Spider-Man vs. Batman 6. Pikachu versus the Street Fighter character. I'll just say 6 as well. Both are fine episodes. They're both good. Spider-Man definitely needs to run back, if we're being honest. And for the love of God, if he comes back, do not have it be against goddamn Batman. Or Ladybug. Ladybug's equally as terrible. And by the way, if you're hearing some like weird fan thing in the audio, it's just my new mini fridge and I can't already unplug it since things will go bad. But, you know. Goku vs. Superman 1. 7. We have He-Man versus Lion-O. It's a fun episode. The banner's great. It's just overall a really funny episode. Shao Kahn versus Bison. 4. It's a 4 because this thumbnail fucking sucks. This is a terrible thumbnail, in my opinion. The white background is terrible. But overall, the episode is just kind of okay. Raiden versus Stryker. But it's an 8. It's a great episode. This, I feel like, would have an epic remaster in 3D. This would go so hard as a remaster, in my opinion. If they ever did. I doubt they will, but it would look awesome in 3D. I'm just gonna put this in 3 since I don't remember anything about it, hardly. Same thing with this episode. I don't know anything about it, so I'm just gonna slide it into the 3 category. Terminator vs. RoboCop. 7. It's a solid episode. I just kind of... I think this was in 3D, if I'm correct. It's been a while since I've seen it, but... I feel like if I had like a couple more days in the chamber, it would have looked fucking fantastic. Tails versus Luigi. I'll say like a 3-4. I'll put it in forward. The ending I think is pretty cool. I don't really just have much to say about it at all. Vegeta versus Mewtwo 1. It's literally not even an episode. It's literally just a giant joke, and that does not end in a death. So that, in my opinion, I feel like a big fuck you. Pokemon Starter Battle Royale 8. Giant Pokemon fan, this episode hits right home for me. Sector versus Cyrax 8. Again, if this got a remaster in 3D, like Raiden versus Stryker, so hard. That'd be a fucking elite. Godzilla vs. Gamera. I'll put that at 9. I love Godzilla. Godzilla's fucking cool. And I just like this episode. If you give me a kaiju fight, I'm happy. I'm a solid fucking customer, in my opinion. And they delivered. They fucking delivered on this episode. Captain America vs. Batman. Like, 3. Besides the fact they were using, like, non-canon material, apparently, I just overall don't really give a shit for this episode. So, okay, Gundam versus the Tiger Zord. Like a 5. It's alright, in my opinion. Scorpion versus Ryu. I'll give that like a 7. Really cool. Smooth animation for the time. Fantastic models. Fantastic death. Fantastic back and forth. Overall, this episode, in my opinion, is honestly really good. Despite how badly the research is, it's still overall a good episode. Deadpool vs. Deathstroke 10. I don't think anyone's going to argue. The banner is great. The animation is great. Everything about this episode, in my opinion, is great. Besides this god-awful fucking thing for Deadpool, just the white background irritates me. But besides that, this episode is like perfect. Boo versus Kirby, 6. It's fine. I don't really have much to say. Ragna versus Soul Bad Guy. Like, again, 6. If this got like a remaster in 3D, this would go so much harder. But overall, it's just kind of alright in my opinion. I don't really have much to say. I don't have a lot to say about a lot of these. Garchomp 1, horrendous. Honestly, one of the worst calls I think I've ever seen in my life. And I remember some dumbass saying that, oh, Death Battle said that they will have women win more often. And no, I'm not kidding. That's a little statement somebody said. I think that statement's fucking retarded. But it does not change the fact that this episode sucks. The only thing that's nice is like the animation looks smooth. That's about it. The off-screen death is fucking cringe. And overall, it's just like, it's not a good episode. I've never liked it. It's always a bad taste in my mouth. The remaster of Boba Fett versus Samus, it's like a 6. It's fine. I don't think anyone really asked for it, but it's cool, I guess. Chuck Norris versus, I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but it's 10. It's elite. I love it. I love the silly. This is an episode I'm okay with. Just that full on plays into how absurd they are. Like, they're both throwing planets at each other. And like I believe it's Chuck Norris or Santro who like uses the fucking ring of Saturn and fucking yeet shit at the opponent. It's just a overall really fun episode. Guts versus Nightmare. It's like a 6. It's alright. Even though Nightmare should have won, it's alright. It's a cool episode nonetheless. Iron Man versus Lex, 10. One of the most best looking fights they've done. Some of the best. One of the, honestly, in my opinion, the most underrated deaths, in my opinion. It's just such a cool episode, and I kind of wish we got kind of more episodes like this, but, you know. It is what it is. Beast versus Goliath, 2. I've never cared for this episode. I just don't think it looks good. I think it looks kind of hideous, in my opinion. Snake versus Sam. This might be a hot take, but like 5. I've never really cared for this episode, and now it does not look. I don't know how the hell people say this fight still holds up. It looks so janky when it moves quick, and like every time I watch it, I'm like, dude, that just looks so bad. And yes, it is petty since I could overlook the rest of it, but like the smallest details will always irritate me the most. And the fact that it looks really janky at points just irritates me. And the fact that people overrate it is another reason why I'm not really a big fan. But anyway, Doom versus Vader's 2. Doom versus Vader, that's correct. Yeah, this fight's just terrible. Like, I like the ending, how like they fall down to Earth and Vader fucking kills the T-Rex. That was pretty fun. But that's about it. It's just, overall, just not very good. I've never really liked it. Goku vs. Superman 2. What did I put the one? Okay, 6. Now, besides it having better animation, I will say the research took a big hit here since, you know, Death Battle still doesn't know how to scale Dragon Ball at this time. And I believe, like, they said that, like, Super Saiyan 4 is like slower than Super Saiyan 5 or something. I don't know. It was something really weird like that. I just surprised they messed up on. But besides that, the animation is fucking gorgeous. The music is fucking awesome. A lot of it's awesome. It's just mostly the research is really bad. Is why I'm not a fan of it. Knuckles versus Donkey Kong. I'll say 2. It's not that it's bad. It's like I could care less if this episode happened. Like, if this episode never happened, I'd be perfectly fine. Raiden versus Wolverine, 10. This is by far one of the best 3D fights they have ever done. I don't think anyone can dispute that. This is elite. No one can tell me that's great music, great death, great voice acting. Everything is elite. Like 3. It's just kind of just an type thing. And it's not bad, so I don't give a fuck about it. I'll say this, these 2 are like mostly I don't give a fuck to. Yang vs. T for 1. They blatantly lied, they lowballed the fuck out of her. And it's even more funny, based off of Death Battle's own research, Tifa should have won. And please do not use the fact that, oh, they didn't know how to scale RPG characters. That's not an excuse. That's literally selling out for them. It should have been like, hey, you messed up. You can't just say, oh, It's fine. They didn't know how to do something back then. The fact is that they still haven't admitted that they didn't know how to scale them, and this episode's wrong by factually correct. Even by new information, Tifa still slams since what Yang's like on a high ball like moon level, since of that manga feat of her punching the moon or something. Maybe it was a meteor, but I've never liked this episode. And the fact is that it ends with a Ruby Volume 3 poster following promoting it leaves a bigger distaste in my mouth, since it gives off the impression that they on purposely made Tifa lose so they could promote Volume 3. Since think of it, why would they have a promotion for Volume 3 of Ruby when Yang dies? It wouldn't look good, in my opinion. So having Yang win would be the easier option, even though you literally could have just had Leone from Akame kill and Leone would have lost. But anyway, I'm done ranting about this episode. I fucking hate this episode. Astro Boy versus Mega Man, like a 6. It's fun, I guess. I'm gonna add the speed through this since I have a shitload to do. Hawkeye versus Green Arrow, 6. It's fun, it's enjoyable. Pokemon versus Digimon, I'll say like 3. It just left a distaste in my mouth, not because I'm a massive Pokemon fan and it's sort of dying. I just overall just got like a big distaste in my mouth when they made the joke that Pokemon are slaves, even though that claim has been debunked. But besides that, I don't know why. This episode just does not leave a good taste in my mouth. Dante versus Bayonetta, 10, easy, fantastic episode, fantastic way they kick off the season. I believe it was season 3 it kicked off, and it was elite. It was honestly one of the best looking episodes they've ever done. And in my opinion, this is a heavily underrated episode. Great voice acting, great models, great death, great animation. A lot of it's fantastic. Ganon versus Bowser is like a 5, 6. It's fine. It's just a fine, solid episode in my opinion. Ratchet and Clank versus Daxter, same boat. It's good, but like it's not anything like amazing, if you know what I mean. Flash versus Quicksilver, it's like a 5. It's like fine. I like animation and all, but like overall it's just kind of a Sweet Tooth versus the Joker. It's another 10. It's awesome. I wish we got more Twisted Metal Death Battles, but sadly we haven't, and I'm not. Now I'm sad. Shadow versus Mewtwo. 1, horrendous. Like the only thing that's good. Actually, no, I don't think I can list a single good thing about this episode. It's horrendous. Like a 4. I don't like anything involving Rooster Teeth or Ruby, or I guess Red versus Blue, because I feel like these fights strip fights away that could benefit from being in 3D. But I'll get into that later. But overall, it's just fine. It's like a fine episode. 3. Again, not much to say. I just don't like this episode. Trace versus Scout, same tier. I do not like this episode. Ken versus Terry, it's fine, alright. Ramona versus Amy, I think it's honestly, I'll give it 2, in my opinion. Like, I don't really even get the connection to what they're both people who use hammers who are in love with the protagonist. I don't know why the fuck they did this matchup. Amy has like 30,000 times better opponents than fucking Ramona. And what the fuck did Ramona do to somebody? Like, hell, anyone. She's like probably one of the weakest characters on Death Battle ever. She's fodder. Hulk vs. Doomsday. It's fine. I'm not really a big fan of it, but no, it's alright. It's cool. It's like a slobber knocker in my opinion. And I can watch it, have enjoyable, but like, I'm not gonna ever go back and like rewatch it. Zoro versus Urza, 7. Really good episode. Deadpool vs. Pinkie Pie is like a 5. No, let me think. I'll put like a 7. So it's fun. It's a fun, goofy episode, and it plays into that fully, in my opinion. But yeah, that's about all I'm going to talk about. Nintendo vs. Laura, 5. It's just kind of alright. 5 as well. All these are basically 5 rated. They're all just kind of alright. Gundam versus Voltron, I'll give that like a 9. It's honestly great. Fuck, already on 20 minutes. 5. I used to love this episode, but it's kind of like alright now. I like the Sub-Zero 1, but realistically, Glacier is sort of fucking annihilated, sadly. 18 versus Captain Marvel, again, alright. Same thing with this, it's just kind of alright. I'm not really the biggest fan of how it looks. I think it looks a little off, but you know that's just me. Lucario versus Digimon, again, alright. Terry vs Balrog, that's an easy 9. It's honestly fantastic, great animation, voice acting. Honestly, I kind of wish we got more boxing episodes of Death Battle. They should definitely bring back more boxing characters or more like MMA style characters. But you know, I don't think they're going to. Shredder versus Silver Samurai, 7. I'll put it at 1. I've never liked this episode. I think it's terrible. Thor vs Wonder Woman, I'll put that in the same tier. It's literally unfinished. It looks unfinished as fuck. Ichigo versus Naruto is like a 3. Like, the music is fantastic, but I don't like anything else. I think Ichigo's transformations look good, but that's really about it. Batman Beyond versus Batman 2099, it's like a 5. Dante's like Virgil versus Sephiroth. It's like a 6, it's alright. Black Panther versus Batman is 4. Also 4. Spyro versus Crash is a 5. Hit versus Sora is like a 3. I just don't give a fuck about it. Leon versus Frank, like a 6. I'll give Fate versus Strange like a 5. Ken versus Ryu versus Jin is a 9. Fantastic animation. Love it. It is awesome. I love their fuck. I forgot what it is for Ryu, but I love the devil transformation and his rage form fighting. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, you know. Afro Jack versus Jack 10. Honestly, some of the best hand-drawn shit they've ever done. They should do more shit like this today. Carnage vs. Lucy is like a 5. Gundam versus Optimus Prime is 10. I don't think anyone can debunk that claim. It's awesome. Okay, Daredevil versus Nightwing is 7. If I'm being honest, I do not like this episode at all. And it's mostly due to how it looks. I just generally hate how it looks. It gives me like it's trying to be too kiddie vibe. Like, I don't know. Like, the animation has always bugged the shit out of me. Like, I just don't like how it looks. Ultron versus, I think it's not Sigma. It's something like that. But I'll put it in here. It's alright. Roshi versus Jiraiya, 5. Darkseid versus Thanos, 6. It's above average. It's a little disappointing, but it's alright. Aquaman versus Namor, like 5 as well. Mega Man Battle Royale is also going to put in 5. Black Widow is also going in the 5 category. Shazam versus Captain Marvel, I say it's like a 6. It's enjoyable, I guess. Wario versus Dedede, like a 5. Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. Despite how bad the result is and how awful they explained it, it's overall fine. Great music, Good animation. I kind of wish we got more bench aliens, like maybe some of them like a play off of Green Lantern's energy ring. I feel like would have been cool. But, you know, besides those major flaws, it's still a pretty good episode. Weiss versus Mitchell 3. Johnny Cage versus fucking Captain Falcon 6. Aang versus Edward, also 6. Ghost Rider versus Lobo 4. Definitely should have been Spawn. This 100% should have been Spawn. I don't know why the fuck they did this episode. I think it was a really poor choice. And I don't know why they're gonna do Ghost Rider versus Spawn this season. So I don't know why the fuck they did Lobo. Like, no one wanted Lobo versus Ghost Rider. Like, hell, I've seen, like, Wolverine and Deadpool were questioned more for fucking Lobo than fucking Ghost Rider. But, let's go with Dragon Zord versus Mecha Godzilla. It's just alright. Hiei versus Sasuke. Great music. Love Hiei. Overall, good episode. Dracula versus Ganondorf, 9. Fantastic 3D episode. We should definitely get more horror episodes like this, in my opinion. Mob versus Tatsumaki is like a 6. The fuck is my mouse? Here it is. There. 1. I do not like this episode at all. I think it's horrendous. I do not like it. I think it's a waste of my time. I just generally hate this episode in general. My guy 10. Honestly, this is like I think my 3rd favorite fight of this list. So of all time on Death Battle. It's fantastic. I love the characters. I love their interaction. I love how they're actually in fucking character the whole fight. And I love the music. My god, the music is so fucking elite. Miles Static is like a 5. It's kind of alright. Sindel versus Black Canary is like a 4. Leonardo versus Jason is like a 6. It's kind of alright. Genos versus War Machine is a 5. Grey versus Estef. Sorry, a little tired. It's a 4. Machamp versus Goro is like a 7. No, I'll put it in 6. It's kind of just a fun, goofy episode. Booster Gold versus Cable. It's fine. Kakashi versus Obi-Wan is an 8. And I have a lot left. Let's get through these. Jake versus Danny doesn't get good until halfway through. Also kind of an okay episode. Like a 6. It's kind of just fine. I'll say this is just generally one of the worst looking episodes I've ever seen. The characters, oh my god, they look like fucking shit. The character models are horrendous. The music is terrible. The only thing that saves this episode is like its 2 hand-drawn scenes are fantastic. Wally West versus Archie Sonic, it's fine. The 7 Battle Royale, shit. Red Hood versus Winter Soldier. I'll give it like a 7. It's pretty good. Venom vs. Cronus, like a 3. John Talbane versus Saberwolf, it's like 6, I guess. Red vs. Blue, you know what I'm gonna say. It's like a 2 as well. Backer versus Spider-Gwen, 1. One of the worst looking fights they've ever done. Sanji versus Rock Lee, like 5. Hulk versus Broly, like 4, I guess. Mickey versus Yoda, it's like 5. It's alright. Shadow versus Vegeta. Shadow versus Riku, 1. I'm fucking kidding on that. but it's like a 3. The only thing I like is the music. That's really it. Doom versus Lex, also a 3. Hayachi versus Geese, 6. Blake versus Mikasa Mitsuka, 2. If you know why I think like this episode completely fucked over Hayachi versus Geese. Since I feel like if Hayachi versus Geese got the 3D treatment, it would be so much better. But no, we had to get this episode. An episode I fucking hate. It's such a boring ass episode. I don't know how the hell people say this is so good. That's so much. I'm like, how? It's so boring. Like all they can do is swing around and use swords. It's really boring. I've never liked it. And before y'all say, "Well, it's this guy's favorite episode," I mean, cool. I'm glad he likes it and all, but like, that does not mean that I don't get to criticize it. Just because it is someone's favorite episode does not mean that I do not get to say that it can be shit. Hell, I've had people rip the trailer matchup I do the shorts. Oh, this matchup's horrible. And I mean, like, I agree with them. Most of the trailer requests I do are pretty bad. But you know, they request them. I do them. End of story. Plus, I've had people say that my most wanted matchup's fucking terrible. And I'm like, okay, fair opinion. But you know, overall, I do not like this episode. I never will. I think it looks horrible. And I generally do not like either franchise. Battlw vs Iron Fist is like a 5. 2. I don't like this. I think Steven's a fucking bitch and he deserves to fucking die. Fuck Steven Universe. Like a 3. I think it's just alright. Iron Man vs. Batman is a 7. Same here, it's like a 7. 1. Dia vs. Alucard is like 6. 1. One of the worst fights I think I have ever seen in my life. Hell, even though I hate the matchup, they literally could have saved it with a cool death. But no, they had to fucking off-screen his death and ruin the whole episode. Yeah, Mortal Kombat, a franchise known for its fucking kills. They're like, nah, we're gonna off-screen them, people are gonna like that. I'm like, why? You could have easily showed, like, Kuma's head getting crushed by the hammer, and the episode would have been saved. A good death would save a really bad episode. But no, they had the fucking blue balls here and give us a fucking shit death. Korra vs. Storm 1, I fucking hate this episode. Madara vs. Aizen, or Aizen, I can't call it, 7. As much as I disagree with the result, it's fucking great. It's such a fun watch. Popeye vs. Saitama, 10. My, like, second favorite episode of all time. I got 2. I just don't like this episode. Scarlet Witch, or Mommy Witch versus Zatanna, like a 4. Zatanna's, by the way, is a lot better than Scarlet Witch, just an FYI, in case you don't care. Tanjiro versus Jonathan is a fucking 4. And give me a sec. I need to text him back really quick. Okay, I'm back. Thor versus Vegito. Yeah, I know it's Vegeta. I'm just gonna say it weird. 7. Good episode. Crap, we're pushing like fucking almost 40. Omni-Man versus Homelander is like an 8. I just fucking hate how more than half of the fucking fight is them not even fighting. That is my biggest problem. Like, it takes like a minute 20 or something for them just to fight. It's just them talking and talking and talking. And I do not like that. Plus, if it's, well, there's no way they do it. No, there's a lot of ways. Think of this. Omni-Man one-ups Homelander in, like, saving people. Homelander gets jealous and tries to fight him. Okay, let's say that would have up like 30 seconds of screen time, maybe 20. You would have had like another 40-ish seconds of them fighting. Granted, I know that's not even a good setup. I know the setup would be horrendous then. But at least we're to get more of them fighting. But the death, in my opinion, carries. The death is fucking great. Fuck Homelander. Tetsuo versus Magneto. Actually, I'll give it 4. I just don't know how the fuck people like wanking Tetsuo and oh my god, Tetsuo is like universal. He's gonna win. And they don't know shit about Tetsuo in general. Like if you watched Akira, you would know that fucking like black hole they mentioned couldn't even destroy the whole city or the whole place of Japan. It destroyed like multiple city blocks at best. And I was like, again, I've never really given a fuck for this episode. I've never really cared for Tetsuo. I think Tetsuo's a good character. But like I've never given a fuck for this matchup. But like overall, I think it's fine. It's like a mid. It's like a below mid episode at best. Sorry, a below average episode at best. I don't know why the fuck I said below mid. 1. I just don't like this episode. I think it looks. I just don't give a fuck for this episode. I hate narration type shit. Predator versus Boba Fett is like a 4. I mean, it looks alright, but really about it. Raiden versus Wolverine. Sorry, Raiden versus Excalibur 1. Fucking dog shit. Now, it's only dog shit because of how much I love Raiden versus Wolverine. Like, compare Jack the Ripper when he goes into Jack the Ripper mode in this episode compared to when he goes into Jack the Ripper mode in Wolverine versus Raiden. The Wolverine one is significantly better, and it looks great. The transformation, sorry, his rage mode, that's what I'm going to call it. I don't want to continue saying Jack the Ripper, it's a fucking mouthful. That scene looks infinitely times better in this episode than it will ever look. I don't know how the fuck they fumbled this bad with all the new animation they have. They managed to fuck up this episode. This episode is the better Raiden episode, and you cannot tell me otherwise. John Wick versus James Bond, like a 3. It looks really bad in my opinion. I think it looks so janky. Because in my opinion, what I've noticed, Death Battle is really bad at fast-paced 3D fights now. Like when Torian used to animate, like their fast 3D fights look pretty damn good. But now they just look horrible. Like it just looks so bad. But maybe that's just me. But you know, Black Adam versus Apocalypse. It's like a 5. The death's cool. Actually, no, I'll give it like a 7. The death's pretty fucking cool. I like the fact how it actually feels like a comic book. All of that all shit. That's just good. Let me make sure my fucking mic's on really quick. That'd be fucking. Okay, good. My mic is on. Heroes Trunks versus Archie Silver. It's again a 6. It's fine. Aquaman versus SpongeBob. Like a 6. It's alright. Michael Myers versus Jason. 1. Horrendous. This was literally my second most wanted fight. And they butchered the fucking shit out of it. I won't forgive them for this episode. This episode I had so high hopes for. I'm like, oh my god, it could be in live action. And then no, they went with 3D. And it looked horrible, in my opinion. It looked horrendous. And plus, like, half of the fight again, they don't even fight. They're just going after one person. And, like, it ends, like, when they actually do fight, it ends in, like, 10 seconds. Since it just ends with, like, Jason, like, knocking out his head, and that's it. It's fucking horrendous. It's dog shit. I fucking hate this episode. Sauron versus Lich King. Originally, I fucking hated this episode. But I'll give it, like, a 7. You know, it looks fucking awesome. I will say this, the death still fucking sucks, but it looks fantastic. It sounds fantastic, it moves fantastic. I don't get how Death Battle can have amazing 3D fights, then fucking dog shit 3D fights. It makes no sense. Deku versus Asta. I'll give that like a 7. Vegeta versus Gogeta. Like a 6, I guess. The animation and music carry. but like no one fucking asked for this at all. They cucked us on a good possible actual season finale, and the fact is that this episode feels like a mid-season finale at best. It does not have the weight to carry the season, in my opinion. Okay, good. The last season, Ant-Man versus the Atom. It's like a good way to kick off the season, I'm not gonna lie. S1-10 versus Dragonborn, I'll give it a 7. It's really good. I just don't like the narration type, so this is the only problem I have. I'll give this episode like a 5. Actually, no, I think I'll put it a 6 to be generous. And Vader versus Obito. As much I usually hate this episode, but I'll give it its respect. It's a damn good episode. Stitch versus Rocket. I'll give it like a 4. Jean Grey versus Raven. I almost hate this episode as much as I hated Ryuko versus Shadow, but I'll give it like a 3. It's alright. Guts versus Dimitri. 10. It's better than Claire. Cry about it. This is the better Guts matchup. End of debate. Silver Surfer versus Martian Manhunter. I'll give that like a 7. I'll do some of them for last. Bill versus Discord. 6. It's a 6 at best. Y'all overrate the fuck out of that episode so much. Y'all act like it's like the next coming of God himself. It's overall it's good, but like animation style changes is nothing new for Death Battle. Death Battle has done changes in animation for a long time now. It's nothing really that new. It is cool, but like I'm not gonna be, oh my god, it's so impressive. I'm like, it's just nothing new. If it was not overhyped and it was actually just a regular episode and no one overhyped it, I would easily give this like an 8 or 9. But the fact is that y'all overrated this episode so much, I'm gonna give it a 6. Just for that reason. Cole versus Alex, I'll give it like a 5. It was a lot better than I expected, but I've never played either franchise. Actually, no, that's a lie. I played Infamous Second Son, but I've never touched like the original Infamous or prototype, so I have nothing really to speak on right there. And yeah, I do need to play a franchise for me to get familiar and like the matchup. Okay, I at least have to watch or play the franchise to like it and to get more invested in the matchup. That's how I've always been. Like if I don't know a franchise, I'm probably not gonna like the matchup. If you know what I mean. Megatron versus Frieza. I'll give that like a 5. I hate the pacing of this episode so much though. Like, I could tell by how long it took Frieza to hit gold. I'm like, okay, they're gonna have him go black, which he went Frieza black, and the fight ends like in 10 seconds. That's why I don't like this episode. Because I knew the second he went black, he was gonna win. So it's like, there was no way in hell they have him go in the Frieza black, then he gets one shot. That would be so disappointing to every Dragon Ball fan. It would have been disappointing to me since I've never liked Dragon Ball. And I would have been like, wow, that was really underwhelming. They had him go in the Frieza black for 10 seconds and then he dies. I just wish this had better pacing. Gojo versus Makima is a 8. Scooby-Doo versus Courage is a 10. This is by far my favorite episode of all time now. I love Scooby-Doo. This is by far one of the best things I think they've ever made. Fuck. Getting close to fucking 45 minutes. The Doctor versus Rick is like a 5. I just felt like they could have done a lot more with this episode. And I kind of feel like hand-drawn is a kind of a weird choice. I don't know. It's just overall kind of eh. There's a lot more they could have done. But like, what we got was fine. It was subpar. Goku vs. Superman 3. I'll give this 7. This should be a lot higher if this did not feel pointless. Coming from since nothing really changed, it just feels like it's the same shit. But if this wasn't just a repeat of what we had before, I'll put an 8. And to be fair, I'm gonna leave it an 8. There's a lot of love put into it, so I'll respect it and give it a boost of 8. The last fucking episode I could talk about is Galactus versus Unicorn, the most anticipated episode and most requested episode of their season. So of their whole career, actually, is a 6. Sorry, 7, my bad. Actually, in my opinion, it falls in between like 8 and 8.5. Sorry, 7.5 to 8. No, I'll be fair. I'll put a top of 7 for this one instance. And it's overall fine, but like overall, I was really let down. I was kind of let down by this episode, but you know, overall, it was still pretty good. Animation, good soundtrack, solid death, I guess. But here's my 46-minute fucking video of me talking about ranking every episode of Death Battle. And yes, I will link this if you guys want to watch it. So, you know, take care, and I will see you next time, whenever I do another tier list, I guess.